definitely give thanks. Blessed love, blessed love, blessed love. You're glorifying the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie first. Neges Negas, which means the King of Kings. We're thankful that we can bask in the presence of the Lord of Lords and the Savior of the world, Daniel M. Thankful for the Father and the Mother of creation. Thankful for King Alpha, Queen Omega. We give thanks for beginning without end and the first without last. Thankful for prophet, priest, and king in the atmosphere. So have no fear, for we are right here at the Tiger's Nest in full effect. Honorable priest Isaac with you, keeping a moment of justice and keeping a moment of tranquility and keeping a moment of happiness right here on the international flavor, the universal spice. We're talking about Radio Anu in its fullness. So we do pray that all is well with each and every one, as we definitely have in store for you a beautiful session of the Tiger's Nest, as we will be coming with you, bringing to you reasoning that definitely is on the up and the vibration is right. Yes, family, give thanks, Honorable Priest Isaac here. We're definitely here. PriestIsaacInstitute.com. That is where the link is. And we're asking each and everyone to share the link. Let a friend know that you are in tune with the nest. Let a companion know that you're listening to the universal spice and the international flavor. And what a joy at this moment as we continue to roll, as we continue to keep a meditation up. Now, on Thursday evening, we were scheduled to have a program with Rasta Roundtable. How many of you were waiting for that program? So, on behalf of the full Rasta Roundtable crew, we would definitely ask that you accept our apologies because it was a program that was initially planned as well, as we were to discuss, well, spirituality slash African spirituality. Now, why it is that? It is because, first of all, the program at that moment was brought up by Brother Ras Isern. Now, we would have already spoken of discussing African spirituality at some time, and I myself obviously would have gone up that road of African spirituality several times. But Brother Cern really put it forward as the subject of spirituality. I can clearly, recall him highlighting spirituality, and he even used the example of there were certain things that would have taken place in his own personal experience, that he would like to get into, thus the subject spirituality. Very good. As on Rasta Roundtable, we begin the program by everyone giving their perspective on the subject. I myself, my plan was, yes, I can go into spirituality as such as it relates to my personal experience. And I was and still am looking forward to hearing Brother Isern's personal spiritual experience, and depending on how you would share a few personal experience or experiences to the congregation. But my angle wasn't a personal anything. I wanted to come from a general outlook of African spirituality once again. Now, it's a very broad subject, and for we're going to take our time in the Tiger's Nest to somewhat put it on the table and express it to the best of our ability, even leading up to the Rasta Roundtable coming up on Thursday. Now, of course, many things happen within, tomorrow something brand new may take place. We may just have to address it on the Tiger's Nest. But for now, we are looking at the whole concept of African spirituality in general. Now, I would like to look at it from a simple perspective first, because I try my best not to complicate anything, and we want everyone to comprehend what we're talking about. We're not trying to sound good and to get into a whole heap of thing and African spiritualities, ancestral worship, and all of that. We want to take our time to get the thing straight. Now, spirituality in general. Okay, so you have the physical and you have the spiritual. Okay, very good. Every human being is made up of the physical, and every human being is made up of the spiritual. I want you to follow this good. Now, what is the spirit? Before we break down the spirit, there's also another unseen component referred to as the soul. So you have spirit, you have soul, and you have the physical self that you can see. Now, this physical self, not necessarily the spirit and not necessarily the soul, but the physical self is divided into different selves that may appear to be spiritual selves, but they are labeled under the physical self, believe it or not. For example, the mental self, the emotional self. Listen to this, the astral and etheric self. Now, obviously, astral etheric is connected to the spirit, but so is mental, emotional, and even the physical. Everything is connected. Nothing can be separated. Good. That is why in theology, the concept of the spirit without flesh, or yeah, that's it. The spirit without flesh is considered the Antichrist. So the concept here again is that spirit. What is the spirit? That's what it's referred to as the quickening spirit, because the spirit is what gives life. The spirit is actually the life that which would charge the physical for it to come alive as such. Now, your soul is really who you are. Just the term soul has, a unique central sound, soul, like it's in the middle of. So that's really who you are. I think you are more, and you hear me say I think because I'm being very humble with this, and I'm not coming as if I'm the expert in, your humble brother, your humble servant. You've known me for a while, those of you who are sitting here for a moment. So there are many things I can expound upon. Some things maybe I am an expert in, and other things I, like yourself, learning as we go along. But for sure, from my perspective, your soul really is who you are. And when you hear us talk about, well, there's certain people that don't have a soul, that's a serious thing. When you get to that level now, you're gone deep. Now, the spirit is, again, the quickening energy that even gives you the life. And you know that the life is God, because God is within everything. So the point is now, every human being is both physical and spiritual, even if you think they don't have a soul. Yeah. Because some people think that certain races of people don't have a soul. But the fact that they can say, good morning, how are you? There's a spirit working there. Unless it's a robot or, and then that's the next level, you know. The previous program we did when we were listening to Brother Yosef, he was on a level where he was showing you computers and devices have spirit and souls. So for those who are not even hip to that, you can enter that door too of conversation. So the thing goes deep. But let's keep it let's stick to the human beings for the time about African spirituality. We're talking about, you know, the ability to the ability to what it is, clairvoyance it's called, where you see it before it happened. You know, put your cellular phone on silence. I was just saying that to the audience, and the cellular phone just rang immediately. uh, Quite apt for the subject at hand. Maybe I am an expert in the subject. You see, because you don't have to get any papers or any accreditation from anyone, who themselves, don't even know the subject. You see, we have a bad habit around here. If we follow the paper trail, we end up in the rubbish bin. You say, what were you talking about? Yeah, I mean, we live in a world, where people do not take you for your true qualification, your soul, your true the abilities that you have, your true qualifications, as I said, what they want to know, well, what papers you have, what's your experience. Even sometimes you have the papers, but you just don't have the experience yet. You just left college. Well, you need at least 3 years experience. So how on earth am I going to work that one out? You understand? Yes, and as serious, as it may seem, that's the mentality of the reality that we live in today. So again, spirituality, you know, the ability to can see beyond. There are many of us here that are moving around with that ability, clairvoyance, prophets, they call them in the Bible. Mhm. So when someone says you're spiritual, you're usually this person that's in tune with nature. Spiritual people are in tune with nature. Spiritual people go to the rivers and to the waterfall and all that kind of stuff. Spiritual people. Mm-hmm. I see. Now, we're taught that nature doesn't have a spirit. Now, when you say nature, what are you talking about? You usually think about the trees. Come on, don't fool yourself now. When you say nature, it's the forest you think about and the waterfall. And that's good, nothing wrong. It's a good choice. But we're taught in school that none of these things, the rocks, none of these things have a spirit. And then the animals that make up the rest of nature, none of them have a soul. Imagine that. Now that's just Western thinking, because in the Hindu tradition, that's not so. The tree definitely has a spirit, without a doubt. In fact, the spirit of the tree may be stronger than your spirit. And each and every animal, down to the ant, has a soul. I don't know if the linear way of thinking believes that, well, the ant is too small to hold a soul inside of it, or what? Because we think so, eh? We have that kind of thinking. The ant is too small. So how big do you think you are? in comparison to something else out there. You get what I'm saying? So, bringing you again to that whole concept of the spirit. Where is the spirit? What is the spirit? Again, from our outlook, the way that most of us have been taught, we don't see that there's any spirit in a tree. There's no spirit in the rocks. The seawater has no spirit. The river has no spirit. The waterfall has no spirit. The grass, the meadows, the flower, nothing has a spirit. They're just alive. Maybe they're not even alive. They're growing. That's how we're taught to think. And that which has a spirit, like the antelope and the turtle and the birds that greet you in the morning, they have a spirit because they can die and come back to life, not come back to life, but they can die and whatever they do, but they don't have a soul. They don't have a soul. Maybe they come back to life. True, you know. They don't have a soul. Who teaches you these stuff? This is why what is spirituality and what is African spirituality is a plague in question. And sometimes, let's just be honest, visit this conversation. They jump this part of the conversation. Eh? Most people don't begin here. You got to take baby steps. Eh? People just jump straight into, oh, well, they got to pour libation and ashe and eh? That may be true. But how did you get that far? You have to understand what you're dealing with. So this is why we have to even begin on this level, even for the novice, even for the apprentice, even for the kindergarten, the preschooler. Every human being has a spirit. So every human being is spiritual. Whether you are practicing it or whether you're even aware of it, you're spiritual, just like you're physical. Some people say, well, most of us, we're only taken up with the physical self. We don't care about the spirit. Well, honestly, I don't think we're taken up in the physical self. We surely don't care about it. Uh, Maybe we look at ourselves in the mirror, but I don't think most people literally care about the physical self. Yeah. Or else they would not eat the way they eat. They would not speak the way they speak. They wouldn't dress the way they dress or undress the way they undress and go where they go or the place they refuse to go or what they do and what they refuse to do and all of that stuff. My art would be a part of their whole lifestyle if they really cared about their physical self. So now, spirituality is usually compared with religion. Why is that so now? What is religion, first of all? Now, there's a beautiful speech by His Imperial Majesty, and I must say, I actually kind of quoted, you know, word for word still, but most of us know it, and some of you I know can, where he speaks of spirituality and religion, and religion being somewhat like a set of rules and regulations, basically, and not necessarily that the emperor burning out in that case religion, but showing you the difference, I would say, between religious practices and the spiritual practices that are in the earth. But anyway, religion now, again, theology is another term that can be balanced with religion. Theology is the study of, the Most High, the study of God. Again, the term God, another level of, you know what I mean, something that can confuse you if you're not careful. The creator, the sustainer, the life-giving force. From ancient of days, from the ancient times, we would have studied this. We utilize our understanding of the astronomical clock, the movement of the cosmos. Yeah. That is why the scriptures say that the heavens declare the glory. And within the movements of the planets and the moon and the sun through the zodiac belt and all constellations and the solstices and the equinoxes and all that you have, you get a good comprehension of the characteristic or characteristics of the creator, the sustainer, what I like to call that divine intelligence, that nucleus of intelligence that governs all things that exist, that which we see and that which we cannot see. You understand? Because remember, we have different layers here, different worlds, parallel worlds, different dimensions, but yet still from where we are, from our existence, from our consciousness in this physical, from our soul point, with the spirit that governs us and the intelligence that we have, we observe our surroundings. From the trees to the rivers, to the sun, to the dirt, to the sky, to the clouds, to the stars, to the moon, to the sun, and intelligence kicks in. And we say, yeah, look at it there. I understand. I can read it. And that is why the cosmos or the heavens is the primary material for our intelligence and the primary material for our understanding of quote unquote God, which is a German word, by the way. Comes with a lot of misunderstanding, the term itself. So we can do without it here for the moment in our discussion. You got what I'm saying here. So we already knew that there's a sustainer, there's a life giver, there's an energy of good and truth. And we understood this energy by reading the heavens. We understood this energy by calculating the movement of the stars and the sun, etc. That's why we could build temples and mastabas and pyramids and oblique and different structures and statues that are perfectly geometrically symmetric, and they all could align with the movement of the same sun and stars and planets and everything. Why? Because we had that intelligence of the Most High, the Creator, the Sustainer, you know, and we evolved into a highly intelligent being over thousands of years. And that's why you have the Atlantean age and you have the Pyramid age and these ages of high intelligence and mathematics. These were the gods, they use the term, on the earth. So again, you know, this is when we connected nature. That's how we got to know. That's theology, basically. That's theology. And we would utilize that knowledge and we would create story form, like the Anansi stories and the Medu Neter and the Osiris mystery, you know, the green god cut into 14 pieces. All of this is esoteric, deep science, not just mythology now, but deep science. Maybe on a preschool, kindergarten level, but yet still deep science to give a better understanding of what is to come in the next age, the next cycle of time. Yes, that's the sort of power we had because we could have detected all of this by reading the heavens. Good. So we would have expressed that knowledge again in the hieroglyphics, or the Medu Neter, Heru, and Anubis, and that whole story. That's where we got it from our understanding of the heavens, our comprehension of nature, and we put it into glyphic form. And this again is theology. It's the study of of the sustainer. Now, religion now, a practice of rituals and spirituality now are both considered, both religion and spirituality, not necessarily theology, but both religion and spirituality are designed to connect you to the same God as such, to the same all, the all in all. Now, those who practice spirituality may not even use the term God. Those who practice religion don't have a problem at all with using the term God. Now, theology, you don't have to even believe in God to deal with theology. Theology is a science, it's a study. You may get a degree for it, theology. You understand? But the right religion as such is the true theology. And the right religion, obviously, is the true spirituality. In fact, the true spirituality is being mistaken for a religion. I wonder if you follow me good. Because spirituality, again, connects you with. That's why African spirituality, follow me, family, African spirituality connects you with the ancestors. It's not ancestral worship, it connects you with the ancestors. It is those who do not recognize the three phases of our existence: the phase before you were here, the present phase, and the ancestral phase. And it's a phase that goes into a cycle as well. Cyclical phase. So if you want to know what will happen after you die, try to figure out what happened before you were born. It's a cyclical stage. So there's a you before you were here, and there's a you that's here, and there's a you after here. When you enter into the ancestral realms, you don't just like because they're dead, they're gone there. It's a kind of mystic thing. That's why there's certain rituals and rites that take you there. That is why even down to this modern day, I mean, this conversation can go far now, even down to this modern day level of barbarism, where you carry your family to the morgue, and when they give you back the body to go bury the family, the body is filled with newspaper and sponge and all sort of cotton pillow and all sort of stuff. Why? Because they harvested the organs. The heart is gone, this is gone, the liver is gone, whatever else they need is gone. I'm not asking you. I know this firsthand. I know this firsthand, Firsthand. Firsthand. I can speak of this. This is my cousin. Yeah, firsthand. You understand? Okay, good. And this is what we would have been speaking about before we even had a first-hand experience of this, because we saw it on documentaries and we read it in books and we heard it in lectures. We already tell people, hey, these fellas in the morgue, they'll be just taking out your family's organs. Yeah, that's just another level of what they're doing in the Congo and in Haiti, where they're jumping in and kidnapping children and organ harvesting. They do that, eh? Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah. They do it in the hospital too. Oh, you didn't know that? All right. They do it in the morgue. You're just learning this? Well, I'm telling you first-hand experience. This is not something I heard on a documentary. Well, I did hear it on a documentary, but I know this for firsthand. Firsthand. My father's sister's daughter. Yeah. She passed in the US. Yeah. And when they check it out, she was stuffed with newspaper. Now, just how in the ancient Kemetic tradition, you see how they handle these vital organs, how they handle the heart, how they handle the what is it that I think it's the lungs, the brains. Ra eats the kidneys of the kings. So they handle these organs with care and put them in the canopic jars and all of that stuff. Why? Because they understand the level of connection with the spiritual world. So when these killers just take them out and you don't even know they have them, it affects the afterlife. Simple as you see it. But we don't believe in that because we've been brain scrubbed with the Jesus stuff. Oh, don't worry about that. We good. You know what I mean? Just want to, yeah, you know. The most I can say, I agree that, no, I don't agree, no, Jesus, foolishness, but I know for sure that, that there's the merciful energy of the Almighty, you know, can wash away all confusion. That's without a doubt. All that they would have done to us. Because again, in our tradition, a sacred burial is an important aspect. Many of us have died on the battlefield and don't get no sacred burial. But because of that, we will be pardoned. Yeah, going into the next level as such. It must exist, not unless you believe when you're dead, you're done. No, that's the next thing in African spirituality. Nobody dead. That's a next word that's an invasive word, eh? In our culture that we never even understand what they're talking about. This dead, nobody died. And you maybe say, oh, foolishness, people die all the time. Brother, nobody died. We never died. So how we never died? How long you live? Man, we never died, brother. Listen, to use the language that we speak, even if you live to be 1,000,000 and a day, you will still die. Check it. But we never died. Let me show you the difference, brother. About 30,000 years ago, even while we were building the Great Pyramids, and that pyramid thing, we don't even nearly know what was going on there. That was the time when you read in your Bible, it talks about Adam living to be 900 and this fella living to be 800. Somebody lived to be 700. Okay, good. Today we live to be 70. Some people live to be 80. There are people that live 110. We all know there are people that live to be 120. The records start to go up to 130. You may say, hey, listen, that's getting ridiculous. Okay, but most people agree that there are people on the earth that are 120. So if you can live to be 120 now, today, global warming, climate change, pollution, and all of that stuff, and you can still live to be 120, and all of that synthetic food and television and synthetic light, and you can still live to be 120. There must have been a time when you could live to be 150, 180, 240 easily. I'm sure you agree. Good, very good. Now I'm saying, in our heights, the patriarch is 450. And 3 months before the patriarch rests down his structure, you hear? He's not going to die, you know. He's going to rest down his structure. The patriarch called for a feast and say, hey, go to the villages and bring all the whoever. We're going to have a feast for a month. The patriarch have a feast for a month and give some big speech, and dignitaries come and go. And yeah, the last 2, maybe 3, 4 days of the feast, the patriarch in his room laying down, his family by his side, because he know he's going to give up what they call the ghost. And then he give up the ghost, and then the horn is blown, and it's announced that he gone, and people rejoice, and when he born again, they're going to know it's him. That's our tradition. Even just to the other day, not too long ago, I always recount this. You'd hear Professor Small speak about that. When a baby was born, when he was young, they always look behind the ear and look here and there to see who it is that came back. So if we could have that sort of consciousness when Professor James Small was a little child and he's still around, just meditate thousands upon tens of thousands of years ago when we were in our highest of science, of holiest of days. Nobody was dying. Dying is when some animal meet you and eat you up. That is dying. Dying is when you fall off the wall and break your neck. That is dying. When you have diabetes and you're sick and you catch a stroke, them things is dying. Heart attack is dying and you run into the wall and somebody kill you. All of that is dying. We don't even know what you're talking about. We never know people could lose this physical like that. We always thought that you go to a certain level and decide that, hey, I think I'm ready for a new one. And we sit down and plan it. And you know me, I eat the right things so that I can slowly move out. And we have a party, everybody come and celebrate. I take about the next 50 years on this, go out to about 450. Then I lay down and bring everybody, children, grandchildren, we talk business and say, hey, look for me, I'm gonna try to come over here, I'm gonna try to come over there. And then I return. That is African spirituality. We never died. Body vomiting blood, and we never knew these things. Because when you tell people this, it's hard to believe. But the way I just explained it, I'm sure most of you, hey, for real, you know, I never even looked at it like that. Yeah, we were in a height at the time. When because we weren't eating this and eating that, or eating out of this and eating out of that, or cooking on this or not cooking on that, and going here, there, and square, that we were so pristine that we decided when we want to leave and come again. We ain't gonna hold on to it forever if it's time to move on. We say we gotta put this one down. I'm gonna take the next 70 years on mine. No problem. So that level of African spirituality would have come down to the African spirituality that we know today. We're in, and I hope you're following me, kind of connecting all the dots. We're in, again, African spirituality, like spirituality in general, is designed to connect you to the rest of yourself, which is the next African concept, because you are a part of the all. You are a part of what is called God. This God thing that the European came and tried to whisper in our ears. Okay, you are a part of the all, the all. That's why now they say, hey, well, you're God and you're God, and they see they mix up the thing. Now you and God is all. We are part of the all. We are a part of the all. So we are one with everything. So African spirituality now is designed to connect you with the rest of yourself. You could use this term, it's designed to connect you with your ancestors, which is true, but it's more than that. It's more than that, much more than that. So African spirituality comes with rituals too. The things that you do. And you see, this is the serious thing about African spirituality now. I hope you're following me and let's see the trend and why I'm taking the time to write into this. Because even some of us as Ras, we talking about African spirituality is the way to go. On Christianity, Bible, whatever. Now, again, His Imperial Majesty speaks of spirituality and religion and speaks highly of spirituality. But what is African spirituality again? The practices that you would read in the book known as the Feta Nagas, the practices that Ethiopia would have had. And I definitely want to bring this in the conversation with the round table, where if someone committed a crime, and I don't know the details, but in Ethiopia, I think they would get a young boy below the age of something, 7 something, and I think they would give him something to eat. And he would if this is not exactly what happens, it's something of the sort. He would go to the house of the perpetrator, the thief, whatever, and either point him out or spit on him or vomit on the floor, something of the sort. And then you don't know that if it's the thief is going to lose his hand or whatever he's going to lose. Now, the emperor came and stopped all of that kind of stuff. Now, again, I may have the example a bit off. And when I bring it to the brotherhood, I know some of the experts there can straighten that out. Now, what I'm saying is that African spirituality as we know it is filled with a lot of these sort of behaviors, then, these examples. So, for example, in Ghana, there's this clear sign of African spirituality where you have a pot of palm, it's either palm oil or palm wine. And again, if you would have done wrong, somebody committed some sort of act of unlawful behavior, and we're not too sure who it is. If you're innocent and you come and you dip your hand in this palm oil or wine, it'll be nice, cool. But the person that comes and dip their hand and they're the guilty one, it would be like a scorching feeling on them that they cannot take it. It would burn them. And then the person that would say, oh, wow, that's burning me or whatever, then they would know, that is the perpetrator. Now, again, that is labeled as African spirituality. And I must say it's quite profound, you know, that someone actually balls out. But then again, there are those who don't agree with that. And I'm not going to bring the emperor out. I'm not going to think for the emperor to say what he would accept and what he wouldn't accept. But here lies in another traditional practice in Africa, like that which was practiced in Ethiopia, that the emperor did stop. Man, you know, drawing straws and all of these things. The emperor stopped a lot of that and say, hey, we're going to send people away to study judicial law. So we ain't drawing no straws no more. Nobody shaking no shell and throwing them on the floor. We're going to send people away to get their masters and their bachelors or whatever they have to get to come back here as lawyers, as attorneys, as judges, and as magistrates so people can get a fair trial. Nobody chopping off no limb, no nose, none of these things. The emperor stopped these things. Haile Selassie the first stopped these things. Especially for the barbarous way that we would deal with one another when ones are found guilty. And again, the methods that have been used to see who is innocent or guilty. So I'm just using that for those, you know, who are very faithful to the king to at least, as you know, I like to challenge you to think. Yeah, so you can be careful how you move forward, because a lot of things that are done in Africa now, this is another thing. When you talk about African tradition, you've gone into the hundreds. They're not the same, but they have a similar theme. That's one thing. For example, every African dance mimics the cosmos, all of them, all of them, all of them. And that shows that Africa is one. But whatever would have happened throughout the time and the ages and epochs, whatever have you, different cultures would have developed different ways of expressing their spirituality and their culture, etc. So there are a lot of things that I surely do not agree with, without a doubt. You can talk till the cows come home, brother. You know, how the sisters would elongate their or pull out their lips and put the copper plates in their lip. Some people say that they did that to ward off the slave traders. Some people say no, that's not true. That's the white world telling us that because they're mocking them as if that's something ugly, but they saw it as a sign of beauty, and they've been doing that even before they knew anything about any slavery. But whatever it is, that's not a practice I even agree with. There's certain aspects about mutilation, bloodletting, and these different things that for example, even in the tradition of the killing of the pig and all of that, many people consider that to be very spiritual as well. I think the practice that Rastafari has brought to the forefront is the highest form of African spirituality. Rastafari has come to clean up and to bring to a perfection the Ma'at balance of African spirituality. Now, I'm not speaking as anyone trying to run into Africa to change people, that's not my point at all. I'm just talking the truth. The truth is that, as I would have said before, we're coming from an ancient time when we were really one. We didn't even have all these different tribes. We didn't have all these different outlooks. We didn't have all these different variations to the truth. No, it wasn't the case that we had different methods, but we have a oneness. No, we were really one. We were one order. That is why in this time, the African spiritual man come back to bring that one order that was there from creation, the true African spirituality. No, it doesn't take away the reality that the different practices obviously still expresses that level of African spirituality, which is the connection to your ancestors. Look at the libation issue. Libation, according to some practitioners, is the greatest form of ancestral worship. Libation, the greatest form. So if that is so, the way you do libation should be of the utmost importance. Now, to me, the true libation is the ceremonial order of the chalice. And then that water is poured to the earth with the same sacredness as that of when you call out the ancestors and you ashe. Because you see, after you would have partaken of the chalice, the water would have taken in the essence of not only the plant, but the whole dynamo of your meditation is inside of the water. Remember, the water retains memory. So it's not just a bottle of water you buy in the store and you get a potted plant and you start to ashe. This is, you bless the water in the cup, in the chalice. You had a whole session over the chalice. Maybe brethren and sisters were sharing the chalice. We were reasoning about the Bible. We were reasoning about the stars. We were reasoning about Haile Selassie. We were reading, we were watching a good documentary, and the chalice would have passed around. So the water, every time you take a draw, you say a prayer, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. The water retains all of that memory. Even before you light the chalice, you bless the chalice. The water retains that memory because water retains memory. I think we know that. And the meditation that you have been holding, you're holding it with the water. So when the time comes now to relieve the pipe, you throw the water to the earth. Just like when you're doing the libation, you don't throw it really to the concrete. You throw it to the earth and you praise Farai, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, and the water is hitting the earth. You understand? And that's just a natural thing. You know, the brothers open the 40 ounce of beer or whatever. They say they throw a little to the concrete for the fallen soldiers. Some of these soldiers could have been in jail. Some of the soldiers may be in the cemetery. Some of them may be in the hospital. But once the soldier is not with them, yeah, they open the stout, they open the beer, they open the liquor, the wine, the night trade. You see, they throw it a little bit to the ground first, and then they start to sip. That's an ancient African tradition. That's libation. And they're pouring out the liquid to the person that's not there. You understand? In fact, many ones when they light up their spliff, they usually have a little drink in the other hand because the water and the spliff goes together. The water and the herb go together. You know, that's the chalice. And that is why the libation again comes in very important. It's a deep, deep concept, you know, and I believe as we continue this discussion, I will go a bit more deeper into the libation aspect, how it really